But before we bring this program, yeah, let's look let's look around the activities that's happening down there in Nigeria. Let's look around, and most especially, in the southeast. So let me bring up this video, and you guys will also agree with me that we are defeating them. We are defeating them step by step, gradually. For those that plan to tag this insecurity on Onyendu Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, we have debunked them, we have dismantled them, we have exposed them. There's no way they can lay whatever shenanigan they are doing in Southeast in terms of insecurity on Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. There's no way we stand. We have exposed them and debunked them. Like I said to you guys, all Mazi Ezumezu Nwekwensu, I will use my small platform. I will use my small space to do what I can. Go on in the name, what are you doing? What idea are you bringing on table? Gbaa mbọ kwado nke ị na-eme. Wepụta aka egwu. It's very, very important. Nke onye ọbụla ma ọ ya emenwu, bring it up. In as much that is in line to release our leader Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. In as much is in line to restore our motherland Biafra. We are welcome. So let's listen to this the news on listen to the news on Arise TV. I want you guys to follow me up, please. It's really important. About this insecurity, before we go to the main topic. Are you sure you download it? No. You must get it. We need it. Hold on. Okay, yeah, I have it. Yeah. Okay. Let's listen.
Our attention is once again drawn to the security situation that has left many lives ending in a tragically gory state in the southeast region. As the situation goes from what you could call bad to worse, making the unarmed civilian an endangered species in his daily life, the Nigerian military has been trying to forestall this ugly recurrence, while the regional security threat has spread its roots into widespread criminal activities and violence. I'm delighted to have former PDP governorship candidate in 2021, currently a Labour Party stalwart, an immediate past president and chief executive officer of the Transco Group, Val Ozigbo. He joins us on Arise Prime Time. Glad to have you join me.
Thanks so much, MD.
Yeah, well, just like we talked about there, let's go straight to the fact that Simon Ekpa has been arrested. And will this stop insecurity in the southeast? What do you think? Also, I'm saying the emergence of a new female leader, a female, has occurred. So what do you think? Will this stop insecurity we're experiencing in the southeast?
To be honest, I think for me, the place I want to start off this conversation is to try to paint a picture of how terrible things are
in the
in the
Southeast?
Southeast. I was reading a report recently by a group of NGOs and authored by one Emeka Umeabolasi and his colleagues, and they documented a lot of atrocities that have happened in the entire Southeast, where in their record, in their reckoning, over 65,000 people had been victims of kidnapping and what have you, and over 32,000 deaths from different, whether state actors and non-state actors. And all of these things tell you the level of deterioration we've suffered. And what is saddening is what has happened even in recent time, particularly in my own dear state, Anambra, where
Anambra State.
nobody's spared. Archbishops are not spared. House of Assembly members not spared. Reverend fathers, reverend sisters, lawyers, nobody's spared. It's just a matter of who's going to be the next victim. And when this happens, there is not even any hope inside, no rescue inside. It's just when the criminals decide to leave you off, if they decide to murder you or sell your body parts, it's their decision. And they do this unchecked. There's no threat of, oh, we're going to be arrested, nothing like that. They can spend a whole 30 minutes, 1 hour in an incident, and this is how bad it's become. And so when we're now going to go into the root cause of this, I don't think it's appropriate to just coalesce it into IPOB activities, because that's what your question is tending to suggest. Rest of Simon Ekpa, will it stop? As if that's the only, no. Let's go deep into what are actually the root causes of this issue. In my opinion, again, it's just when you have poor leadership, because even within the same Southeast, some states are better than some. Anambra is seen as the worst today. Enugu is relatively better. Abia is better. What are they doing differently? Still the same, and guess what? Sam Ekpa is not even from Anambra State. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is not even from Anambra State. Why is Anambra the worst? It boils down to issue of leadership. Now, let's talk about the IPOB. I believe that agitation actually is not a wrong thing in itself. Somebody saying, this is what I want, it's not a wrong thing. How you go about it could be wrong. And how also the government treats it could be wrong. And that's what we've been facing today. I'm one of those who have called for release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. I don't think the continued detention, incarceration, and all of this is helping matters. And quite frankly, I don't know Simon Ekpa. We see some of the videos he does, and whether he changes, replaces, I think is irrelevant to what we're talking about. Because what has happened is that there are now huge criminal elements that hide under the auspice of IPOB to create all manner of issues. But truly speaking, they are not agitators. They are criminals. So what I say to leaders, forget about this nomenclature. Deal with criminals of whatever form.
I think your governor has even made that statement. He said, let's call a spade and not an agricultural instrument. Let's call criminals criminals.
Yes.
And deal with them as criminals.
Purely.
So why is that not happening? I'll ask you this, because you said it's a question of leadership.
Yes.
So have the governors of the security of the Herod SE of the Southeast, have they shared their responsibility?
So, Biafrans, lovers of freedom, did you guys listen to the man what he said? Did you see how he isolates IPOB, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu? That people are hiding under the umbrella of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu IPOB to commit evil. The man said it all, and he tagged it to politicians. And remember, he's a politician too. He's a politician too, but he said the truth. So we have debunked them. Whatever lies, whatever blackmail on Onyendu Mazi Nnamdi Kanu IPOB, we have debunked them, we have exposed them. People, men with conscience, are saying the facts, and the world is listening. And the world is listening. You can see how the Wise Council and his team debunk Nigeria government's plan. You can see the way they debunked it with only that press statement, the world press statement. They expose Nigeria government and they target the the criminal justice in Nigeria. Nigeria government has no shame. They don't know where to do what, where to start. We are coming to it, but let's listen to this man. So all the plans to blackmail Mazi Nnamdi Kanu internationally has failed. All the plan to tag IPOB terrorist group globally has failed because me and you expose Nigeria government, because me and you stand up for what is right, because me and you say no to Nigeria agents, and we continue to use our platform, we continue to use whatever we can lay hand on to debunk Nigeria government. Today, the world know that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is innocent, that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a freedom fighter. You hear what the man said here, that fighting to be free is not a crime, that he have called for the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu too. Let's continue listening to him. It's really important.
It is even with the security votes.
The answer is yes and no, because I don't want you to put all of them in one basket. And something happened recently in Anambra State where a priest was kidnapped. Another reverend father had to call a governor of another state for help to track what happened in Anambra State. And when the whole thing was done and finally, thankfully, the priest was released, they had to go back to the governor in Enugu State to say, thank you for helping us. What I'm saying to you is that it's not just the case of the Southeast governors. Let's be specific. Some are doing much better than others. In the case of Anambra State, I have no clue what is going on. Why can't we, since the beginning of this administration by Governor Soludo, we haven't seen much being done in the area of insecurity. We've not seen even vehicles bought for security agencies. You hear cases of when they're even sent to work, they get demotivated, demoralized, and then they just ignore. And then if you look at all the cases that have happened, the same story. There's not any attempt to rescue.
But that's not the picture. I interviewed him here. That's not the picture the governor painted. The picture, because I told him that. So I'm said in 15 local government areas, they were asking the president to declare a state of emergency, but he said it must be some, for lack of, let me not use miscreants, some people he doesn't know, but that they've done quite some good job that there's peace in Anambra State. That's what he said.
This is, I don't want us to shift this into a debate, but it's not. Do me one favor. You have your correspondent in Oka. Figure out what is going on. In Anambra State, the government house, few meters away at Nibo, they were celebrating New Year Festival. Criminals took their time, killed many people. Up to today, not a single person has been arrested. In the case of Oka North, the entire of the Urum bush and all of that, if you see and hear evidences from kidnapped victims who were thankfully released, and they tell their story, it is alarming. Once this interview is over, I'm going to share a lot more. Okay. The point here is that every single Anambra person who is savvy enough to understand what is going on, we all come to the same conclusion that nothing has been done so far. It's not a matter of these things are happening, but what is our response? Where is the leadership? What are you doing to create, first of all, the intelligence, the control room, where you monitor and see what is happening in different parts of Anambra State? What are you doing to empower the security agencies, and how do you craft the architecture that bring it down to the local units? How do you integrate the Ndigwes, the town unions, into all of this? How do you actually even provide sufficient empowerment for young people so that they can be gainfully employed? How do you become a source of inspiration and hope so that people will know that if they work hard, they will make a living? The point here is that we are in a situation where, guess what? Everybody is helpless and there is no hope in sight. And just recently, it's saying that after Christmas, it's going to launch some security initiative. And people are saying, why wait until after Christmas? Are you using that for a re-election gimmicks or what?
The fact is that what this man is saying here is 100% truth. You know, we are going to come up with a program of one of the points he made here about kidnapping of a priest. We have a voice record, a voice note from the person being kidnapped together with the priest. We also have a voice note from Ebube Monso because he refused to mention the priest's name. We also have the voice note from Ebube Monso, what is to talk about the kidnapping of the priest. So we're going to do that program based on that. Listen, the fact is that Mazi Ezumezu Nwekwensu, believe me honestly, Soludo disappointed me. Not only me, a lot of people. Soludo disappointed because a lot of people, including me, believe that Soludo will transform Anambra State, that Soludo will make a difference. But what happened? Gịnị mere nwoke a wee change? Gịnị mere this man wee change out of a sudden? Ọsịkwa the same Soludo nwa Mgbaafọ anyị maara. Gịnị mere? What happened? What transpired? Soludo wee change. In Anambra State, a na-abụ mmadụ ka a na-abụ ọkụkọ n'ime ọfịa. In only I don't I will do the program very soon. And the man said that na mmadụ ya adị ndụ a na-awe afọ na-ewepụ pas ya. Ewuo wel ebe a na-akpụkwenye ndị mmadụ a na-awa egbuo atụkpunye ndị ya na-awa acid n'ime ọfịa. And Soludo nwere all those information and keep notes. What is happening? Gịnị na-eme? Ka anyị chọrọ ịma what is happening, gịnị na-eme? Gịnị mere Soludo? What's changed him? Eji ya na-akpa amụ. O nwere ebe eji ya dị njọ, nwoke a ji wee decide ya to follow in this path. Let's continue listening to the man, please. It's very important.
Why? What happened in the first 3 years of your administration? Why are you waiting on the twilight to launch? Because we say this because we know sometimes what usually happens is leadership. They are usually the architect of some of these things. They empower criminals for political gains. And when they're not in power, they don't know how to treat these criminals. How do you even recover some of the guns you've armed wrong people? And this is what we keep saying. And it's not just in Nigeria. The whole case of banditry, you hear cases
across
of
the length and
yes,
breadth of
you
the
hear
country.
cases of these people actually came in through the politicians who use them for nefarious activities. And then when the job is done for them, what next? They have
Because
no
they
answer.
don't have employment.
They have no answer.
They start, again, you've raised another issue. You have the leaders. Because we're talking particularly about the Southeast, even though you mentioned, of course, Nigeria in general. Have the leaders in the Southeast, do you think, that they played the ostrich looking for the cause of the problem outside their shores while the problem is within? Because I've seen so many leaders talk about, okay, I'm going to come to Nnamdi Kanu and all that. But don't you think they played the ostrich, begging the issue, looking for, somebody said it's only the rat that is inside that tells the one outside that there's fish in the kitchen.
100%. If you actually dig further, if you read this report I'm talking about, it identified the real actors. You will see the ones that are externally influenced. You also see the one internally influenced. A lot of the things happening are actually being created and caused by also the people of Anambra State.
We're not talking only about Anambra
Yes,
State.
I'm just using, okay, the same way. If you go to Imo, you go to Ebon, you go
Abia,
to
yeah.
Abia, you see those cases because what you even find is that simple intelligence. I sat down with a top police officer recently, and I said to him, well, I see effort he's making, what is going on? And
The way
he
that
was
cop
blaming
that
it on the
people
locals.
milk.
Do you know something may happen today here at this port? They will pursue, give a chase, and then when they get there, ask the locals, where did they go to? Nobody would talk. And I said to him, do you know why that is happening? It's happening because some of them are under oath, which means nothing. It's just a matter of they're getting intimidated. And some of them don't trust you guys to be able to provide this information because they don't know who they're talking to. Maybe once the information gets back to these criminals, that is this guy, you create a problem for that whole family. And so, what do? You think differently. It's all imagination, creativity. Create a whistleblowing opportunity and an anonymous way of gathering this information so that people are protected when they give out this information. What I'm saying, in fact, is that none of these things are intractable. We've had issues like this in the past, and we solved them. So it's just a case of leadership. And what I keep saying to people, they should stop looking at whether it's external or internal. Don't blame anybody. Take
Deal
ownership.
with the issue.
Take leadership. Do what you have to do because you are the chief security
officer in the state.
That's all.
Now, because what we discuss, I mean, we must not forget the fact that the purpose of the discussion anyway is to find solutions to these problems. I was discussing with a security expert, Kabiru Adamu, and he believes that a tripartite dialogue between the federal government, the state, and the leadership of the proscribed Biafran groups, especially Kanu, and this can iron out a political settlement to eliminate insecurity in the Southeast in its entirety. What do you make of this as a solution?
I agree with that submission. You know why? Don't give anybody any excuse anymore. If we solve this problem and Nnamdi Kanu is out, you now know that the rest of the people making the noise are criminals. So it's not a case of debating, are they agitators, are they criminals? So agitators, they have basically not much reason anymore. So everybody who causes any other mayhem is a criminal. They treat him as one. Secondly, we go beyond just governor and presidential, and let's also bring it regional. I like to see the governors of Southeast come together and throw away their egos, just come together, blend together, and solve this problem commonly. Because the idea of you chase them in Imo, they run to Anambra, you chase them in Anambra, run to Imo, doesn't help anybody. But if they are able to come together, you chase them concurrently, and they will have no place more.
Ebubago, what has he been able to do?
As far as I'm concerned, the answer is in the result. I don't celebrate effort. Security has worsened in Anambra State and Southeast. Let's figure out how to get it solved. What we've done so far hasn't worked. The only thing I've seen is some states who have made some appreciable improvement. And what I keep mentioning these states, so that let my governor go and copy and replicate what they're doing, so that at least we can feel a little bit safe while hoping for other bigger strategies. And these things are things that can be deployed just within the next 2-3 months and get things, if we show the political will in solving this and show, follow a certain strategy. And some of them I've spoken about, I've done videos on. In fact, I just did another video today, which I'm going to release tomorrow, just again focusing on insecurity, because it is our #1 problem. Can you imagine how many businesses have left?
I was going to come to that. I mean, I think I have something on business. I'll try to get to that. Nnamdi Kanu founded this now proscribed IPOB in 2012. Since then, it has metamorphosed into varied factions. I mean, we're talking about the root cause of this problem. Some say the root cause of the insecurity in the Southeast is his incarceration, while some others say it's politically motivated to demonize IPOB and the Biafra agitation. Do you agree with that? And has this varied factions exacerbated, the insecurity in the Southeast?
I started from this, and I said to you, agitation in itself
It's
is
not
not an
that
issue.
thing.
That,
Where you go about it.
that I want to even be alone. Guess what? If a referendum is actually done on the Southeast, you'd be shocked what the answer might be. It might actually be that, no, we don't want to be alone, because there's a debate as to what side is better. But let me tell you what actually is going on. Sometimes you actually don't blame the agitator, because there's enough to agitate in this country. I mean, what is even worse is that things are this bad, and there's a conspiracy of silence among the elites. And people like you, the journalists, nothing. You say nothing, you do nothing.
We're doing something. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing now. That's what we're discussing. So you can't say we say nothing.
And then some of the former leaders, governors and co, because they all have EFCC files, nobody says nothing. That's the worst thing that can happen, that in the face of criminality, everybody keeps quiet. So on that note, Nnamdi Kanu was speaking up. He was actually commenting.
I don't. Let me interject here, because I have a lot of videos to play, so that's why I let it play a bit longer before I say something. You can see the points Mr. Van have made here, that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is innocent. This is a fact. And you cannot tell me that you that are watching me have more network than this man. He was the former Anambra State governorship candidate in 2021. He's now in Labour Party. So, if this man, this caliber, this man will come out and tell you that what is going on in Southeast is not about Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, that is about the politician. Don't you know that this man know what he's saying? Because he's one of them. You know what is going on. And he also told you that there are some politicians that will give guns to these guys to work for them. Even after the election, they cannot be able to get that gun back from them. He said a lot of things. Ndị Igbo, it is time for we to come together to ask freedom of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, whatever party you belong to. And he also made a statement again that there are a lot of governors, a lot of people that are into EFCC net. Now, the insecurity is mostly in Anambra State. Because during the time of Obiano, it's not like this. Now, is there anything that they are holding on Soludo? Is there any way that they are holding him, that you must allow this thing to happen in your state, or we shall do this to you? On anything at all like that? Because it's suspicious. The way a man and Soludo change overnight. One not the ego. And I will tell you that the only thing that is constant in life is change. The only thing that is constant in life is change. So, but one good fact that Mr. Van have able to establish to the world, to Nigeria government, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is innocent. And what Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is fighting for, it is his own right. It is his own fundamental human right to demand for freedom of his people. And the man said, okay, don't be surprised if Levelando has been consulted, that people who like to remain in Nigeria. Let's consult it first. Let's see. Let's conduct this first. Let them open the door open for Levelando. Let's see. UK did their own. Scotland is still asking, demanding for it. Now nobody was thrown to jail. Nobody was buying in Scotland for asking for a referendum again. In Spain, they did it. Nobody was buying. But why in Nigeria? Why? Let's continue. Let's continue listening to Mazi Van.
But someone was speaking up. Sometimes he goes overboard, and some of us will cringe. No, you're going too far. But There's actually a good premise for people to agitate in this country. And guess what? It wasn't exclusive to Southeast alone. Almost every part of this country. Today, I don't see anybody agitating more than the northern part of Nigeria today. They are all agitating. But how do they do that? Some do that in the quietness of their home, and see, we've got to hold leadership accountable if we want a functional democracy. So, but how they managed the whole Nnamdi Kanu thing was and something happened with Boko Haram, by the way. When these things happen, deal with these issues, engage, dialogue, sit down and, guy, what is going on? Why are you doing this? Okay, see what we're going to do. Don't worry. Give hope, inspire people. This thing would have just fizzled away. But no, it's a case of even when they go to court and you see that everything is now being manipulated, begin to see political dimensions to it. Even the Simon Ekpa, there was a lot of accusation that it was opposition, different other parts were funding him to keep doing what he's doing. We don't even know the truth anymore. But the truth of the matter is that I honestly believe in not digging too much as to the issues in the past. What do we do going forward? And this is where I come in. We need pragmatic leaders who will sit together and say, let's stop blaming this. Take ownership. Because when you hold yourself accountable, imagination, things, and then in case of Anambra State, I've said it, why can't we just come together as a people? Whether some of the of IPOB, the church, the Igwes, the government people, the town unions, the traders, let's come together and have a proper dialogue. Where do we go from here? If we have such listening government that can bring everybody together and we craft a common strategy, there's no way this thing can't. But all of a sudden, just wake up and say, no more Mondays is at home. No solution, no answer. Said it. Why can't we just come together as a people? Whether some of the of IPOB, the church, the Igwes, the government people, the town unions, the traders, let's come together and have a proper dialogue. Where do we go from here? If we have such lists, it's a case of even when they go to court and you see that everything is now being manipulated, begin to see political dimensions to it. Even the Simon Ekpa, there was a lot of accusation that it was opposition, different other parts were funding him to keep doing what he's doing. We don't even know the truth anymore. But the truth of the matter is that I honestly believe in not digging too much as to the issues in the past. What do we do going forward? And this is where I come in. We need pragmatic leaders who will sit together and say, let's stop blaming this. Take ownership. Because when you hold yourself accountable, imagination, things, and then in case of Anambra State, I've said it, why can't we just come together as a people? Whether some of the of IPOB, the church, the Igwes, the government people, the town unions, the traders, let's come together and have a proper dialogue. Where do we go from here? If we have such listening government that can...
You see, Mr. Van make a very valid point here. Very, very valid point. And this is what I have been clamoring, even during the time of the late Chief Iwanyan. I told Chief late Iwanyan what to do. I even requested from him for him to organize a protest. For him to organize the protest, that he have the capacity to organize a protest. Both the Igwes, the elites, the traditional rulers, the governors, the IPOB, the people that are fighting for the social of welfare, let's come together and protest. And he had the capacity to do that for the use of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Now, this is what Mr. Van is similarly saying, that why can't we come together? And I told the Chief Lady Wanyan, do it because time is not on your side. But guess what? He didn't. And that is why people like me, we will not give these Southeast governors a space for them to manipulate the next, or next the chairman, or next the presidency. We had